Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me again on part two of this little mini series I have going on, celebrating the acquisition of Kiva Systems by Amazon. Amazon, it's unbelievable. It's been over a decade already, and asking the questions why we haven't seen a robotic system or an infrastructure hit the same rates that a AR or Kiva system is currently experiencing. I want to give a big shout out to anyone and everyone who left messages. Appreciate that in the comments, either text message, phone call, or LinkedIn Messenger. Appreciate the comments. Big shout out to Bruce Wilty from the founder and chair of Quiet Logistics and Lucas Robotics. He left phenomenal comment, and also I want to elaborate that Lucas Robotics does have an amazing system and is capable of hitting some of these rates. So there are available systems. I just want to make it clear there are available systems. I just want to get the industry to start recognizing that there are additional options versus just your old ways of doing things with conveyors. In celebration of, again, acquisition of Kiva Systems, I'm wearing my Kiva College shirt. This is a shirt you received after you did your week of orientation at Kiva. The orientation included the history of Kiva, where it started, right? Originally distrobot, all the way to the years and how it grew, and all the acronyms. Believe it or not, we had acronyms up the Yahoo. So long list. And then at the end of this, at the end of the week, you got the privilege of either building a pod or taking part in building a robot, which was pretty cool. So I'm not sure if AR is still doing this. Somebody from AR want to chime in, send me a text or something, let me know if this is still going on. That'll be awesome. I think it would be certainly a sad thing to see that, to know that that has gone away. So thank you for that. So speaking of, so this week we're going to talk about partnerships, the importance of partnerships, and how that was so crucial for the Kiva system. So, one of the partnerships that I think was crucial to the future of Kiva Systems was the partnership with Quiet Logistics back in 2009, where they partnered up, and they were very tolerant of the business, right? And some of the mistakes, I will admit, the system wasn't stable, I will say, but they were very tolerant. So I think that allowed Kiva to mature in a way where they were in a situation when they could get acquired by two big customers, right? And ultimately Amazon pulled the trigger. The other customer, I'll leave it as that, and those who know who that was, and we'll leave it there. Anyways, after post Amazon acquisition, we ran through peak in 2012. But one of the big parts of running the system is partnering with our sister divisions, and not only that, the general managers of the buildings, the operational organization, and Amazon Fulfillment Technologies, right? So, we closed the deal in March, and we were running a site at BFI 1 in 2012, right? So, to Amazon's defense, they didn't want to take on risks, so they allowed us to do a non-sort, which was the big packages. Obviously, they don't want to risk the network, which completely understand, and right move. And when we first started, obviously, it wasn't great, right? We kind of, I'm not going to say the system was perfect. We were still retooling and refactoring our premise-based software stack. But there were some things we needed to learn, right? So part of that is, how do we integrate with services, right? We're a premise-based software stack where we're going to integrate. And then all the different variables in the fulfillment center. This was the first time we're going to an actual Amazon FC and not really understanding all the different aspects of the building. So prior to us going on site in September and doing the first integration, we worked closely with AFT to understand all those integration points, right? All the SLAs, how they were going to get equipment in, right? So SKUs in, product out, how we were going to process these orders. Also, how we were going to notify them and educate them on how the system was running, whether it was from a station perspective, from the floor health, or total throughput of the floor, and how they were going to consume that. And second, how that information was going to feed the operational organization so they could control the velocity of the building. Very important partnership. Doing that strategically and respectfully, right? We obviously there was some misses by us, there was some misses by them. It wasn't perfect, but we were able to do a first integration and gradually ramp up the system. What we learned during peak of 2012 was that our system the system throughput was significant. I won't share total throughput. I know the numbers, but I'll share one KPI that will kind of open your eyes. So there was this one associate. She was the fastest picker in this building. At one point, she was her highest velocity was 82 orders an hour. So she would walk 18 miles a day, manually picking orders. And that was her fastest velocity at one point in time, 82 orders an hour, manually picking. The same associate during peak was able to fulfill at one point during the peak season at 352 orders in one station, right? So that's a 430% increase in velocity and productivity from one associate, right? So as we speak about partnerships, this information helped educate not only us, but the business as to how this infrastructure could significantly change behaviors in a building and significantly change operations as a whole, right? So while we were running through peak, we were having issues on the pack out stations. We were killing them with the amount of orders we were processing. In the same breath, we were killing the decant and inbound stations because we couldn't get products in fast enough, right? So it was an education process. We were learning from each other. Second, there are behavioral things from a human standpoint that we couldn't account for, right? You could only train people so much, and again, the case point that we're solving is supply chain logistics fulfillment. During peak, these are seasonal employees, so you only have X amount of time to train them. And as much as you train them, they're gonna do things that are out of the box, right? So we learned a few things. We had a pick workflow where we allowed the store associates to just throw items in. That caused some issues where pods would gradually tip, right? Because they were putting heavy items on top, and it would cause some of these pods to tips as these large drives were moving around, right? It was a learning experience for us, and we had to compensate for that in the future. So I say that because in partnership and retrieving all this data and working with each other, we were able to plan ahead for the future, right? So 2013, there was a bigger ask to go to a sort facility and in multiple sites. And with that came more responsibility. It became multi-layered, right? We were going into mezzanines, multiple floors, processing multiple orders. The amount of messaging was significantly going to increase. We were going with our standard bot at the time. I believe it was an F bot, but we were also iterating on a new bot as well. So, there was the introduction of new technology. At the same breath, we were refactoring our software stack as well, right? So multiple things changing, but we were working in partnership to set those correct expectations, right? Service level agreements needed to change, right? How do we process orders across multiple floors? Who's responsible for that? What happens if a station goes down? What happens if a floor goes down? How does operation as a whole switch a lever and process orders on another floor or on another mezzanine or on another site? I think the knowledge and the information allowed Amazon as a business to grow and grow the operation business into Amazon Worldwide Operations, right? Where they thought in a global scale. So I say this because, we did this strategically, right? We partnered up, we showed a proof of concept, right? We made sure that our system could actually integrate in a distribution center, prove that it worked, and then we began to think bigger and how we could actually impact the entire network, right? So this is the importance of partnerships. Again, if you're in this industry and you've done what you've always done, you're gonna get the same results. Where the demand is increasing and service time is getting shorter, where people want things immediately, like they want it yesterday. You can't afford to just go renting additional real estate that's getting very expensive, right? So you need to find a solution. Partner up, if you're a consumer, partner up with one of these robotics companies and set those correct expectations. Be open to think bigger and see the bigger picture. Don't think that you're gonna work with a robotics company, buy this black box that they'll hand off to you in 6 months, and this thing is just gonna magically work and hit you the correct throughput, right? The throughput that they might recommend is all things being perfect. You and I know that all things are never perfect, right? Warehouses are dirty. They could be very dirty, dusty. You have multiple factors, lighting, heat, cold, etc. that could impact the performance of these systems. Be willing to learn and partner up and add velocity into your schedules to compensate for that and work in partnership to resolve them, right? Not just your responsibility to know. Work in conjunction with each other to solve issues and think of the overall bigger picture, right? If it works in the small capacity, what happens if you increase whatever system it may be to X capacity? What happens if you install mezzanines? What happens to the function of this building? What happens to the function of the overall operations as a whole, right? Think bigger picture. Second, from the spoke to the consumer side, from the robotic side, be truthful, be honest, set correct expectations, right? I get frustrated with, some of these systems, and I get you're trying to get into this market, trying to get into this space. But, I see some companies out there promising 2,200 pph per hour on a station using a human. Like, that's impossible, right? That's, if you've ever done any attack time study or ergonomics study on a human, it's impossible. It's impossible. That's, you'll be picking 36, maybe 37 orders a minute, right? That's 0.6 of a second. You have to pick something. What does that do to a human, right? Like, you got to think big. You can't do that. Be realistic, right? And set correct numbers. Others stating that their robotic application, robotic arms, can pick at 1,600, 1,500 pph. Really? That's 0.5 of a second. You're picking an item. That's what, 26 orders a minute, right? Like, okay. And if you can do that, I like to understand how your vision, your path planning, your AI, and then the engagement of excuse me, the cell and the pumps to actually grip and then place. That means your AI needs to be smart enough to place, and while it's placing, already track and plan for the next item that it plans to pick. That's nearly impossible. I haven't seen it. If you have evidence of that, I would love to see it. Second, what does that do to the physical product? It's great if you could pick that fast and you're willing to swing a package, but what happens if you throw a package? What happens if you pick 1,500 pph and 60% of your items are damaged? Is the customer really gaining anything, right? So be truthful, set correct set correct product rollout strategies and work with your consumers and set the correct timelines, right? Don't give timelines where you're gonna do first integration and hand off in 2 weeks. That's not truthful, right? You got to be honest and set a correct path. You need to tune the system. You need to educate the customer. You need to set correct SLAs and work in partnerships. All right, so thank you for tuning in. My next video, I'm going to talk about RSM, reliable, sustainable, maintainable systems. What does that mean? Well, I'll let you know. That involves KPIs. KPIs, listen, if you have KPIs, you're king, okay? And if you're able to get KPIs throughout your entire operation, you will know not only how your operation is running, but where you can make savings and where you can make changes to not only increase throughput, but save cost, okay? There's multiple tools out there. There's a tool out there by a company called Cognite Ops. They'll be able to get the data from all your different aspects of your operation to feed that information as a whole and allow you to make those decisions, which is awesome. So if you have KPIs, you're king, and knowing how your operation is working as a whole, you just can't beat that. And having a tool that would allow you to do the analytics or does the decision making for you, even better. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to leave a message. You have any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out. Appreciate you. Take care. Bye.